I now call on the public orator to present the honorary graduand, David Barlow, for admission to his degree.
Vice-Chancellor, Mayor, Sheriff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In the second chapter of his verse autobiography Summoned by Bells, John Betjeman, that consummate chronicler of British life and customs, recalls what going into the family business meant to him. The chapter's name, The Dawn of Guilt, gives some indication of his regret at not having gone into the family firm. Wanting instead to be a poet, Betjeman was encouraged by his father, "Translate the picture into verse, my boy." David Barlow, unlike Betjeman, did go into the family firm. And indeed, family is at the heart of all he does. His own family and those of his 320 employees. David's father, Cliff, had served in the Royal Signals during the Second World War, honing his skills as an electrician and establishing his own business, Barlow's Electricals. David was the eldest son, and although a career in architecture beckoned, he did follow in his father's footsteps. In the intervening 40 years, he has steadily grown the business from 5 to over 300 employees with the help of his brother, John. If you talk to David, you very quickly experience his sense of humour, culture, and genuine care for the welfare of his employees. He's not a stereotypical businessman at all, even though his keen eye for progress has ensured the healthy financial viability of his company. He speaks, for example, in unqualified terms about his beloved wife and childhood sweetheart, Anne, and with real pride when he mentions his 3 grown-up daughters, Claire, Michelle, and Emily. And it's not just his own family that's at the centre of his concerns. His brother and nephew work at Barlow's, and no fewer than 5 of his contracts managers have their own sons working there too. It's surely only a matter of time before the first grandchild of an employee is part of Barlow's. David's an entrepreneur then, who has never lost or compromised his humanity. He takes on apprentices as young as 16 years of age and nurtures their talents and skills, not least in his role as ambassador for the National Apprenticeship Service. What's more, he has 140 drivers under the age of 30 working for him. You may well have noticed Barlow's vans on the roads of Chester and much further afield. And he's developed a bespoke in-house driver course for his crew. Barlow's is a local business with an international reach. A good education and the nurturing that characterises it are evident in David's continual commitment to best practice. He's lived in Chester and Malpas his entire life, apart from a brief spell of 5 years that he spent at the South Kent College of Technology in the late 1970s. He brought cutting-edge electrical training techniques back to Chester with him, and it was only a matter of time before he was rolling them out for his own workforce. He has a national and global vision too, aiming to make the UK's electrical training schemes world-class, eventually surpassing the best in Europe. Now, David recalls being a somewhat precocious 20-year-old, writing to the body that then oversaw electrical standards across the UK, telling them exactly what they were doing wrong. Now, I'd like to say at this point, he never dreamed that 30 years later he'd be the one overseeing these standards, but in fact, I think he may well have dreamed it. And, as in so much of what he does, he worked hard to turn that dream into a reality. In 2010, he was invited to join Summit Skills, the government standard-setting organisation for the building services industry, and he was one of just 5 employers in England handpicked to pioneer the Electrotechnical Trailblazer Working Group. He's chair of the committee tasked by the government to review bids from interested parties for the future governance of electrical qualifications. And he's about to launch the new electrical framework himself. And I know he'll reply kindly to any 20-year-olds who may email him about it. In addition to today's accolade, David, who is educated at Chester Grammar School, has both an MBA and an MSc. In the past 5 years alone, his company has won over 20 major honours, and he's been received at Buckingham Palace and 10 Downing Street. His firm has won the National Apprenticeship Awards no fewer than 3 times. I was hoping to weave a light bulb joke, and it would have been a hilarious light bulb joke, into the speech at this point. But enlightenment was, alas, not forthcoming. Sorry. So the best I can do, and it's not a joke at all, is to report that David is inspirational. He has lit up the lives of numerous young apprentices. He's spearheaded the growth of 5 academies, and as well as training the trainers, he currently supervises over 120 apprentices personally. He is also, unsurprisingly perhaps, Cheshire Business Person of the Year. At the end of Summoned by Bells, John Betjeman realises what wisdom really is. He says, "Not memory tests as I had long supposed, but humble love for what we sought and knew." That idea of humble love was echoed when finally I asked David what his own education and life experiences have taught him. After a moment's thought, he replied, "A duty to do well." And it's a duty he continues to discharge with style and compassion. Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the Senate and of the Council, I present to you David Barlow for admission to the degree of Master of Arts, honoris causa, in this university.
By virtue of the authority invested in me, I admit you to the degree of Master of Arts honoris causa in this university. Congratulations. It gives me great pleasure to invite David Barlow to address the congregation.
Vice-Chancellor, Sheriff, the Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, and our guests from Shrewsbury, who I met earlier. Business. I noticed there are some MBAs here, lovely to see. I was thinking of just a cheer for the MBAs and the MSCs, which I know both, and then a cheer for everyone. But perhaps we'll just have a cheer for you all and your tutors and all the support you've had. Could we have one big cheer, please, now? So yes, I am chair of a very posh committee in London, and various people are represented at that because we are trying to get the best electrical training there is. And when you have people around the table with strong views, as you will find in life, it's not easy. The trade unions are there, they have a view on what they think should happen. Governments are there and they have a quite fixed agenda of what they will allow to happen. We have the Electrical Contractors Association. They represent 80,000 companies, so they have a strong voice. And then we have our body, our electrical body, what was the IEE, what was the Institute of Electrical Engineers, and they represent a lot of people. And the things I've learned in life help me here because slowly, certainly not when I was your age, I've learned to listen. And listening is the first thing I'd just like to say to you today. Now, we all think we listen. Well, we heard what they had to say, but of course, we've got our own bias, and we knew where we were going, regardless of what they were going to tell us. And that's not right. So we need to learn to listen very carefully all the time to what others are offering. Because, as Hemingway said, he has learnt a lot from listening. And Hemingway also observed that most people he met never listened. They sit and they hear the words, but they don't listen. So in your time, if you can, remember that, to try and listen, especially when you've got a fixed point of view and someone else is giving you something else. Perhaps listen to what they have to say. There might just be something in it. And then the second thing is, because this is only short, because we want a party, the second thing is, there are key people in your life that you need to try and listen to, perhaps more than anyone else. And this is a quote from John Betjeman. We needed to go out with Betjeman, really. We came in with Emma and Betjeman. And he said this: "It's strange that those who we miss the most are those who we take most for granted." And that is very true when you get to 65, when you think back. The people you miss the most You took them for granted. You didn't listen to what they had to say. Not properly, anyway. So that's what I've got to say to you, because November the 5th, we'll remember this, all of us. Team Chester, November the 5th, amazing. Well done to you all. And I want you to leave you free to go and have a good time. I've been to quite a lot of graduations. The thing I couldn't get used to is, when we move away from here, it splits up very quickly. Another thing I would say to you is, for the remnants of the day, try and stay with your friends and family for as long as possible. Because we promise, oh yes, I'll meet you again and we'll keep in touch. Well, maybe we keep in touch using technology, but it's amazing how many people that you're close to today that you will rarely see again. So enjoy the afternoon with everyone. And well done. Thank you.